Calvin,
Yo.
I'm doing the signal. It's it
That's
is
good.
now. We are now doing it.
That's good. I was about to pick my nose
There you go.
pre-stream.
I'll actually pick my nose. What's up, dude? Happy week.
Yep. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Friday's a good day. Actually, Friday is going to be a good day today. I'm doing a double date tonight with my girlfriend and her best friend and then her boyfriend, and I've never met the other two, but I've always heard of these people. So I've had fantastical conversations where they're like, "Oh yeah, and we went off and we did this and we did this and we did this." I'm like, "Great, cool." It's like I know way too much about you people. I've never even met you, but yeah, I'm
Uh,
looking forward to it.
Never done a double
Hiya!
date, but I've done a many double gaming sessions,
Double
which is
gaming
yeah,
sessions,
exactly.
wonderful.
I imagine it's just the same.
Don't hate me, everybody. I'm gonna go check those levels. Calvin, talk real quick, would you?
Test us. Test
Yeah,
test.
we're good. I had to change the gaming setup. Change the gaming setup. It's changed a few different things now, but if you will
Okay.
notice,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Standing desk.
I can stand and be
Do you
productive.
actually stand though? Do
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
Okay, that's good.
yeah.
I don't.
But
I was.
I love that. I love that when people buy standing desks
Yeah.
and never use it, or maybe
Yep.
I'll stand for maybe 20 minutes and then get bored.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
genuinely, I've been dying to get a standing desk for quite a while. Like having one at other companies and having a very desk and being able to just kind of pop it up and move it on was great for even just keeping your energy levels really even throughout the day. So as a doing the independent route, I had to track all my hours, but in tracking all my hours, I started tracking how I was feeling throughout the day, how much energy levels, how much I really wanted to work. Like when was I actually productive? And I always found that in the middle of the day between about 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm out. I cannot function properly. You will not get good work from me in those hours. And mostly that's because my brain's all of a sudden on. I need to go out and do other things. I need to go to the grocery store. I need to
Got the
go,
zoomies.
yeah,
The
I
human zoomies.
gotta do anything else. But I'm stoked on it. It's been great. Yeah, a solid 2 hours, every day. To be honest, now I think what I'm actually more convinced about as a purchase was really this thing. Wow.
Uh, what is this?
So they called it a TikTok. Yeah, of course, TikTok. And it's just it's a little standing board,
Oh,
right? So
interesting.
underneath your feet, you can kind of rock a little bit,
Oh,
and it's wicked useful because when I'm standing, I used to have just the pad on the ground, so
yep,
that I would
yep.
just
Same.
stand on ooh, okay, it's not that's not uneven, but it
Yep.
helps you at least on your feet. But in this thing, I actually properly tried to kind of fidget and balance and everything.
Right.
It feels really solid on my feet. It's nice.
No, I like that.
Anything
Uh,
that will encourage exercise throughout my day is a must. Is a must right now. Is
Getting back to
absolutely a
your
must.
pre-pandemic healthiness levels.
Yeah, man, trying to. You know what I mean? Just trying to. Reality
Yep.
is you smoke cigarettes for long enough, then
Oh
everything
yeah.
just goes away. But you
Yeah.
know, we try our best. But that's the only thing that's new in my life right now. I'm trying to just put my home back together. So that's always a fun
Nice,
thing.
nice. No. Any productivity hack that's worth even just experimenting with, I think it's always good for long term.
Stop. You ever try the Papa Domo stuff?
Yeah. With yeah, the
The
timer. How do you explain it to the stream again?
Yeah, so Papadomo, for whatever reason, Papadomo is a tomato, I think in Italian or something like that. Don't ask me. I have no idea. I'm uneducated. It is a 30-minute timer that you set, and then after the 30-minute timer, you take a 5-minute break. And you do that consistently. So you just work for 30 and take off a couple of minutes. To work for 30, take off a couple of minutes. And you can bump that 30 to an hour or an hour and a half. Well, don't go to an hour and a half, but the point is to make small, really deep dived, focused moments. So like I'm allowing myself, I'm setting this timer, I'm saying 30 minutes now. Heavy focus, zoom, I'm in the task. I'm there. I'm crunching the numbers, I'm doing the things. But then once that timer goes off, then I can allow myself to have that time of unfocus, drop back out and go look at my cars and bids and stare at vehicles that I will never buy, but keep telling myself and torturing myself that I will definitely purchase these things 110%. And then after that, that timer then turns back on, and all of a sudden you realize like my distraction time has now been set, right? Like I'm allowed distraction, but I'm also not beating myself over the head about it. Or like I'm saying, no, 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 I'm gonna wait for my time, and it's only 30 minutes. Come on, you watch like a 24-minute episode of something on Netflix. You can wait 30
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, now I remember my experience with it. Yeah, I did like it, certainly at first, and then I remember I felt like it extended my workday so much. Like instead of an 8-hour workday,
I
it's
was
like
too productive.
well, it's just like then is like it takes 10 hours, but honestly, as long as you are more productive with it, then it's okay to have less hours of work. It's more about the quality of work than quantity. So
Is
it's definitely
absolutely,
worth me looking at again, I think.
yeah, is absolutely the quality of work over the quantity,
Yeah.
and people do get caught up on the time, but I do find that like when you are really indie, right? Like when you are just like sit down, you could do anything today. Like you could literally do anything today, but you
Yeah.
gotta sit down, bash your head against this problem, and say, "I'm gonna try to make this thing."
Yeah.
That comes with its own weirdness because like in the back of your mind, you probably like resting. It's like, all right, well, what does it mean if this thing doesn't really work, right? Like, what does this mean? Like, how long is this really going to take me to get out? Like, oh my god, I've got forever to go on this. This problem's really hard, and I'm leaving this off, and I know that this is going to come up at some point, but I don't even want to look at it right now. And you just got to force yourself to be like, no, god damn it, I'm doing it. I'm building this thing. And you got to sit down and you got to do it. And it just giving yourself a little time box where you can build onto something else, I think was extremely helpful for me because I was coming in like let's see pandemic, right? First couple of whatever's months into like proper lockdown at the very start, like I wasn't doing a whole lot at all. Like I could barely get 45 minutes of work out of my day. Like if I sat down to the computer, I might procrastinate for 4 hours and like look on the internet, but I wouldn't actually like put pen to paper and do anything really, right? So I would just burn my work day just like looking at memes, and then would just beat myself to death that I was like, ah, you did 45 minutes of work today. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like,
Relatable.
dude, all your colleagues are doing 8 hours right now. They're all working a real job. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, get this shit going. This is and that's a compounding problem. I just had to like find anything to get me out of that, and I'd tell you that Papadoma stuff really helped me. Weirdly enough.
So yeah, super common problem. I definitely feel it fairly often. And another one more technique, and it's a lot more simpler. And it's like what you said about sitting down on your computer is like you sit down, but you're so used to doing other things like having fun on your computer, and it just kicks in all these old habits. So one of the easiest ways, and arguably one of the more painful ones, is to go somewhere else, like go to a library and work and do some
Oh
other
yeah.
things. You have to. It's a lot of pride is on the line there, though. You have to be like, oh, I'm one of those. I can't even work on my home computer. So, just changing your environment is easy way to do
Yeah, you gotta not be a sweaty gamer nerd like me right now.
it.
You gotta get the fuck out into society. But do you know what I have a problem with though?
Yeah,
I'll go out and I'll go there, but then I get distracted in its own way when I'm there. So when I'm there, it's like, oh no, but now I gotta get it like set up. I gotta get my nest going, right? So like
yeah,
I gotta go get my coffee from the bar, right? Like let's just say if it's a coffee shop and I gotta go. So like, okay, great, I'm gonna get my iced whatever, bring that back. Ooh, maybe I'll get like a little. It's already lunchtime. Maybe I'll get like a sandwich. Okay, great. And then I'll eat that. So I'll watch a YouTube video or something while I'm doing that, and then okay, cool. Now all of a sudden I've been here 30 minutes and I haven't done anything. And then I look around and I see other people working, and then I kind of get guilted into working, but then I might hit the first major problem, or I forget something from home. That's always the great one. It's like I've forgotten my phone, my charger,
Yep.
or or just headphones or something. I've always had it like my headphones die. Like my wireless headphones will just be like, low battery, please charge, and I'm like, I've got USB C's. Like I can't do it. Or not even USB C's. I've got lightning bolt cables. Like I
Yep.
can't plug anything into this. Like what am I doing here? And I just get stuck. And then you're like, oh great, I drove 20 minutes to go to this place. It took me 15 minutes to get ready. I got to the place, and then I spent 30 minutes drinking coffee and eating lunch. And then all of a sudden I've been here for an hour and a half, and I have nothing. And I just like,
Yeah.
I just leave. I just cycle out and leave.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a horror story in terms of bad results of
I'm
that. Yeah.
so unproductive sometimes, a lot of
Have
the
you
time.
ever have you ever been to a co-working space?
Yeah.
How are those compared to a library?
So those are great because you're actually paying for them, right?
Okay.
Shit's on the line when you have an external office. It also sounds funny to other people where you're just like, yeah, I just gotta go to my office over here.
It
You
is.
know,
It
it's
is.
just downtown. I just gotta go to my office over here. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun, actually. I did that while I was working at Backflip Studios. I had an external office, and I only had it because my friends had gotten laid off the year prior, and they had started their own studio between the two of them. Basically, I say they started their own studio. They looked at each other and said, do you want to make a game? I was like, yeah. Do you want to make it in VR? Yeah, it sounds like a challenge. I've never done that before. It's like, okay, cool. And then 18 months later, then they had a publishing deal with Sony. They like full on by themselves had a publishing deal with Sony. Released their first game, and will never like that. Just release the game. That's it. Like just put it out. Just in time, incorporated. Go check it out on VR. Did great. Made all their money back. You know what I mean? Plus some for sure, absolutely. And I just think it's just hilarious that just how well they went through the process, like how
Okay.
casual that they went through the process. But they did it all from this co-working space called Tatooine out here in Boulder, and Tatooine doesn't exist anymore, but the building still exists. It's actually used to be a prop house for a like the original Star Wars. So it look,
What?
yeah, yeah. So like it's on Broadway. It looks like uh, it looks like a building that was on Tatooine. Like they,
Oh, okay.
which makes the insides unbelievably complicated to model the rooms because most of the rooms are like circles,
Yeah, yeah.
and all of our desks are squares. But they would just sell a desk, you know. But yeah, like the WeWork stations. I think all of these are actually like, I mean, genuinely like they're great places if you're really trying to get in. But try to find somewhere that's 24/7, and don't leave your shit there. You know what I mean? You can't trust people these days at all. Like your your fellow man is gonna stab you in the back.
Okay, hey, that's a good pitch for co-working. Yeah, to I think a lot of people, I think the concept is like, why are you paying that much when you could just work at home and stuff? But obviously, a lot of people do it, and especially if they're serious. So if you can afford it, yeah, go for it, I
It's
guess.
also a tax write-off at the end of the day. So like, you
Um,
know what I mean? Because it's like you're putting it towards your work or your business or anything like that. So if you're an indie, like it's a perfect opportunity to say, I need to max my deductible for the year. And like my deductible last year was like 10,500. Like I had to get to that, and a big portion of what could have been renting a space, right? And and the thing is that they're not that crazy. You know what I mean? I think like a couple of hundred a month. Like if you're going over 500 a month, you're getting like a full-on office, like a real office. But
yeah,
just if you just get there's like levels to this, right? You can just get access to the door. So it's like you can just bring your laptop, sit in the kitchen and do it. But like that's like all right, whatever. Like then just go to a coffee shop. You're just paying for access to to like good internet now at this point.
Right.
But if you can get like a little table or something, a little bit something more stable, something more static, it can work out really well. But don't ever forget like the networking opportunities that happen at these places too. It's like you're gonna meet web devs, and at some point you're gonna need a web developer or something like that. Like you might need a little one-page splash page. It's like that guy's over there and he's indie and he's been doing it for ages, and you've been talking to him at lunch and hey, how's your day going, right? You can build up rapports and nets and networks of people that all of a sudden when you actually need it, you can call upon them, and they can feed work to you and you can feed work to them. And it's don't ever forget that as well. When people, like, if you can get an inkling of something, if somebody needs something else, like, try to point them to somebody, you know what I mean? Try to build some link or some connection, because having a little bit of a network of people that you can kind of pull from in those senses are great, because you can just also just like ask them questions, you know what I mean? Like, hey, what do you think about this, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah, that definitely makes it sound like game specific co-working spaces would have a lot of resources. But I imagine only big cities have like game devs, like ones with a lot of game devs on them.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really does. You know what I mean? Probably
Okay.
New York City, I wouldn't doubt, has some crazy stuff around NYU, because
Yeah.
they've got like a mad gaming lab and stuff like that. And there's definitely people making games like all around the place. But I think that's the thing. It's like games are kind of agnostic. It's just, the creative process and people who are just working. And you don't necessarily need people who are making games. Like, you make games, so you know how to make games. You don't need another person to tell you how to make games. You need somebody who's going to tell you, "Hey, how am I going to efficiently sell this game?" Or, "Hey, how am I efficiently going to, like, SEO this thing?" Or,
Right.
what should I do to get a better presence or something, you know what I mean? Or like, or even just bring people in, just be like, hey, play this for a second. What's this like? Free user testers.
Yeah, especially those darn web devs that aren't as experienced with games. No, just kidding.
Jeez, real fucking tense about the web developer over here. He really does not like these web people. I feel the same way.
I could rant.
I could too. Don't even get me started. Fucking stupid ass web. I hate it. But we actually had topics that we were going to go over today. And I want to start with Meta in Q2 losing $2.8 billion. Now, to be honest, read the headline. Probably has lost $2.8 billion to date. I don't know if it's $2.8 billion in fucking Q2, right? Like, if it was straight, actually, like, hey, in a quarter of a year, we spent $2.8 billion. But it's just on their VR division. And what do you think, Calvin? Actually, I'll stretch this out. Funnily enough, after that report comes out, very quickly afterwards,
some people say the metaverse will only be virtual.
Meta releases
One
this
day,
30-second
this
trailer.
lecture hall will be made of code. And though they're virtual students, what they'll learn together is real. A surgeon will be able to practice as many times as needed in the metaverse before laying her hands on a real patient. These students aren't really back in 32 BCE, but they can still watch Mark Antony debate in ancient Rome. The metaverse may be virtual, but the impact will be real.
So, alright, it's done.
Okay. So I'll talk about my general thoughts on
just
Meta.
beyond the horizon.
Oh,
And likewise,
what's
there's
playing?
no
Meta.
reason to think
Oh,
that
was that?
the aftermath of our Big Bang.
Sorry. Ah, that was so stupid. I didn't pause the video. The video auto-played into something else, and I was like, where's this fucking sound coming from? Jesus Christ. Alright, it scared the shit out of me. Go.
Gotcha. No, yeah, Meta in general, I'm very cautious about. So I've just been like sitting back and just waiting. It's kind of like well, similar to AR. I'm just like, okay, well, when it happens, it'll happen. So I haven't been super interested in it. But a better analogy is like Star Citizen. It's like, okay, well, when it happens, it'll happen. don't need to worry about it.
Star Citizen's already there, man. It's already there. That game's already done. It's ready to go. It's playable. It's definitely playable. It's got some really amazing features, but
Yeah, but don't they still have like 10 more years till they fulfill all their promises, or?
Games as a service, man. Come on, games as a service.
Okay, well
Play
that's
the game.
that's surprising to me because I don't know anybody that's playing Star Citizen, and I know they all say they will play it. So maybe
Yeah.
it's not there yet.
Well, I'm not rich, so that's hard enough to
Yeah.
go and start justifying. Can I spend $10,000 on some digital fucking shit?
That's right.
Like, no. No, I
Earn your
cannot.
money and then funnel it to a virtual life. That's
Yeah.
the way to go.
I dodged that bullet with EVE Online, and I'm thankful for that one.
Okay.
I would have been an accountant.
That game is still updating its early game and stuff. They're trying to still bring in more users.
They
But
have
anyways,
to.
Yeah, that's true.
That game is on the decline, like hardcore on the decline.
Gotcha.
There's a whole topic, honestly, of just Eve. Yeah, we shouldn't do that. But I want to reframe back to this. So Meta loses 2.8 billion. I want to contextualize this argument, right? Meta loses 2.8 billion, and then brings out this advertisement almost instantaneously, 30 seconds, and says basically, look, bitches, this is the future, and you got to spend some fucking capital to make it work. And I think what people are also hyper-inflating on is the number. Like, the reality is that these people have this cash. Like, if you don't think that Facebook has the cash flow to be able to do this, like, this is deep investment for them. And on their back end, if they report a loss, it helps them on their own taxes. So, like, they can report a non-profit for the entire company if the company doesn't make any, if this section doesn't make any money. So, like, the company overall could be operating profitably, but because they're spending so much into this resource, it offsets their bottom line in the end. When we look at this, right, and they talk about, hey, you can be in the classroom and just like talking and everybody's going to be here, then we're showing more of an equitable, or at least this idea of a more equitable society where access to education and access to big lecturers is something that fundamentally can happen in VR, and we don't necessarily need to like how is this going to like restructure education as a whole is like a big call. Now, does that actually happen? Because I still need access to the internet, and I still need access to the headset, and I still need maybe then some access to the class, and now I gotta pay here, right? Like, so in the video we're showing a more, hey, this is better, right, for everything. But is it going to be? Is it going to be? Because they still got to make money out of this. Now, them libs won't tell you about like, all right, is this a techno, a technocrat, right? Like, the Facebook by itself is become such a power across the globe that now they're trying to take over again the digital landscape and push it further into their own hands, which has its own problem by itself. It's like, do you even want Facebook to own this? Do you want the Zuck to own this platform? And I think that's overall, like, no. I don't think people want Facebook to even have this stuff, but it is like unbelievably, like, the leap of the ability for us as a human species to be able to share our knowledge and build connection faster within our own home and go global from our own apartment is, like, weirdly as close to us being able to project our own consciousness as people want to think right now. It's like, oh, we could astrally project, move ourselves out of our own body. It's like, no, we're doing that, but we're doing that now in this digital world, and we're experiencing it all there. I think there's going to be immense benefits. It's obviously going to come. I don't want Facebook to own this at all. But I am also very concerned about certain things, like when we're talking about recreating history within these spaces that necessarily wasn't documented, or you know what I mean? It's like, oh, great. Like, in the video, they have like, oh, the kids went back to ancient Rome, and but to watch this person speak, and I think that's very different than the doctor working on the patient and working on the thing. It's like, okay, how historically accurate are you really going to be here And also, how much are you going to change their language and conversation to fit your narratives these days?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you need to accurately represent history. So it's like, okay, does that worry people then that all of a sudden we start,
Seriously.
because if you put a visual component to it and stick people there, it's like, no, it happened. It's right there. It's in the movie, dude. It's in the movie. Did you not watch the movie? Come on.
Yeah.
You know, Marcus Aurelius was pretty fucking cool, dude. You know? Like, so that's overall my concerns and things that are going to push forward into the future. But yeah.
So in general, do you think the ad was effective to you? Because it seems like you seem mixed on it because you also are a little skeptical about
It
some
was
of
just perfect timing for exactly what they needed to counter within the you know, the general media is portraying this from just a pure P&L. And
Yeah.
from a pure P&L, it's like, oh yeah, big loss, no profit. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Whoa, you didn't make any money. It's like, but then the reality is like, you know, Facebook is literally just outright saying, we need to spend cash to do the future. This is the future, and don't be dumb. This takes a minute, which is totally true, and it's indicative of what we saw in games for like the last 15 years of like, when's this game? Oh my god, this game's not done. Like, if you rush the product to market, it's not going to work. But if you incrementally build and keep pushing forward and make realistic expectations that like, hey, the timeline's long here, then everything makes more sense. And you do need to invest really hard to make the future. Now, yeah, go on.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm being stupid. I could go off because I'm just like, also 2.8 billion is like a lot of money, but this company is mostly based like in America and San Francisco, obviously a global presence all around the world, but like the big development is happening over there. The prices of the teams are, compared to global teams costs, like, are massive, right? So like now you're actually paying quite a bit just in payroll to have the best of the best work on these problems. A hardware, software, internet layer platform, they're trying to build the entire ecosystem in one loop, and that's crazy. You know what I mean? It's absolutely massive.
So to me, when you asked about like the news and the ad, watching it, this is the almost a quintessential example of controlling the narrative, and this is something every big company absolutely has to do, whether it's Blizzard or other companies. So the ad in general, like when I hear about metaverse, because I don't follow it super closely in terms of like Googling it, a lot of people like kind of watered down what it's going to be. They're like, oh, it's just going to be like small polygons. Oh, it's going to be NFTs or whatever they throw it at it. And it's just, there's a lot of chatter on the internet, and it just mutates what metaverse is going to be. So yeah, this ad is like Meta trying to bring it back and saying, hey, listen guys, this is the grand vision, and this is what the future will look like. So I think it's good to at least give people a summary just to remind them what it could be eventually in the future. So I think it's pretty effective. It's definitely a nice little 30-second ad to remind people what it could be.
Yeah. I want my metaverse to be full of furries and anime titties. That's it. It's whatever VR chat is right now. Can we do that?
There you go.
I want to do that. Keep doing that. It's fun. People love it.
That is indeed what the narrative could be if the company doesn't say anything.
Interestingly, like, she has like the what I mean, they're really trying to show off some future tech here, but like she's got some like haptic finger things on, but it's like you're a doctor, so you're not going to be wearing these weird haptic finger things, and you're supposed to be holding a scalpel at the same time. It's like, I don't feel resistance on my fingers. I feel resistance on the top of the thing. So like, let's be honest here. how much are we actually faking our minds as well and saying, oh yeah, look, doctors will be able to practice. It's like, yeah, it's in the same way that I have my racing wheel and I can practice driving here, but like I can get the basics, but like real world feel, it's like I still need to do that. So
Yeah.
in reality, it's like, yeah, I could do 10,000 hours in this thing, but like how adaptive is it really going to be? It's going to teach me where things are, but it's not going to teach me in the moment of like, okay, really, what is this? Like, what am
You
I
know, I
actually
got a
doing?
story about that, and I actually cite this a lot. So yeah, so the metaverse ad talks is going heavy into the learning angle. It's like we're gonna be able to learn in new ways with this, and so as a game dev, this does mean that they're kind of on our side because games are also, great tools for learning. So when I played a lot of Gran Turismo 2 and 3 growing up,
The
and
greats. The greats.
yeah,
So good.
and one snowstorm back home, I spun out, and it was the first time I ever spun out on snow. And I had no real life experience with how to get out of this, but I've done it a million times in Gran Turismo, and I felt like my again, it's not the same controller. I was playing on PlayStation controller, and now I'm on a real life wheel, and somehow I knew how to correct myself like immediately, and I went back straight ahead. I was like, wow, that was crazy. It was like I felt possessed. I've never done it before, but I managed to pull that off. So I thought that was crazy to me.
That's so funny. It's like all of a sudden you're in the Touge and you're just like, I'm in a
Yeah.
drift and I can hold this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I had the opposite thing happen to me.
Oh no. Yeah.
And I fucking crashed my car.
Oh, no. Well, you're probably going way faster than I was. Mine wasn't.
No, I wasn't. I was going slow as, right? So I'm coming home from somebody's house in Louisville out here. It's about 20 minutes away from Boulder, and it starts blizzarding. Like it's literally as I walk to the car, the snow starts to come down, and it's fresh powder and everything is all over the place. And there's no snow on the ground when I get into the car, but it's just hitting. By the time I get to Boulder, there's a nice fresh cut already on there. I go over a median, taking a right-hand turn to go, out to the right into a 4-lane street. And because I went over the median, I lost all traction in the back tires because all the weight jumped. And then when it slammed back down again, I had to pull out into the road. And because I started with no snow and now there's snow, I gunned it a little bit harder than I should have. And I'm in an all-wheel drive car, so I'm like, okay, whatever. Car starts to like drift out, and I'm like, like, let's go. So I like take my foot off the gas, turn the wheel a little bit. I'm still sliding. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty sweet. And then so I hold it, and now all of a sudden, okay, cool. I'm a little bit high of an angle for the other side, so now I'm kind of like across the other street. So I kind of like tap the accelerator a little bit more, feather it, and then I kind of do this, and now all of a sudden,
sounds right.
yeah, but now all of a sudden I'm now pointing at oncoming traffic in the other 2 lanes, so I'm like, oh shit. So I rip it back to the other side again, and I kind of feather again, instead of doing exactly what I should have done is not feather. Just take my foot off the accelerator and just like let the car come to a stop. Like it should not have done anything. On the last one, when I'm pulling it back, I feather again, I point my tail, I'm perfect, I'm going back out into I'm not into oncoming traffic now, and I do the dumbest thing in the world. I tap my brakes. I just tap them. I just tap them by accident. Like, or not by accident, but like I wasn't necessarily thinking, because you know how on your controller it's so easy, like I'm feathering the accelerator, and then I might just tap the brakes just one time just to kind of like let it go. The wheels lock completely. The whole car, wheels lock, everything. I've completely lost the nice little bit of control that I have, and I just slide at a 45 into the curb, jump the curb, hit a signpost. Luckily, didn't hit anybody, and totally decimated the front left side of my car.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, just destroyed it. Super fun, awesome. Yeah, so be careful.
Hey man, once we can hook up our racing wheels to the metaverse, we can just have fun.
Well, do you know what bugs the crap out of me? Not total tangent, right?
Go
but
for
like, I playing some of the racing games on the wheel, and then just going to like the arrow keys on, you know, like, or like WASD, and just doing it there, and I'm like, my fucking control with WASD is like just unbelievable, and then I get on the wheel and I'm like, I spin out in 3 seconds. I'm
Oh,
like,
that's interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting.
I know it's harder, but it is like, it's like a term harder. Like there's a lot more like niceties that are happening in the WASD for whatever reason. Don't ask me why.
I used to think like, yeah, if you wanted to be really good at these games, you absolutely needed a wheel. Especially playing these games in the arcade. However, when I've looked at how people do time trials for various games like Initial D or Trackmania, they tend to do keyboard, and it's like, wow, so this is actually the superior way to play these games. You just get more precision.
It's I don't know. It's like more precision or less precision, and more the computer doing more for you.
Yeah, you would think the wheel is more precision. You're right.
You would think so, because the other thing's just binary. It's just like, no, I'm going left, so it's like, oh, I'm at 100% turn, right? And it's like, no, like there's some ratio there that ends up happening that gets you into like a nice kind of way. And to be honest, I have no idea what that is. And it was an interesting game design problem, because I was like, how does that map? Like, how does 100% lock map to a binary key of full left or full right? And I need to kind of honestly look into that like a lot more, because I'm not sure about that problem at all. Let me know in the comments below.
Tell us how you have crashed or not crashed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I crashed in the metaverse, and yeah, don't think that you're an Akina speed star when you're or Colin McRae when you just because you've played Touge on Gran Turismo 2 back in 1998.
Oh, definitely don't try to drift out of all the things.
Absolutely. But yeah, whatever. Meta sucks, and I hope that they don't own the platform. That's the only thing I care. Is like, I hope that the platform of VR and all of it is not just related to one company, and it's just, that's the scarier scenario for me right now.
And that reminds me, that's why I wanted to bring up controlling the narrative, because I mean, changing their name to Meta in the first place, they're doing whatever they can to disassociate themselves with Zuckerberg, at least to the general public. But yeah, all the gamers and all the tech people, they know.
Yeah, fuck these people. Anyway, let's see. We wanted to talk about co-op games. We still want to do that?
Might as well. We were kind of talking.
Oh, you want to talk about co-op, or you want to talk about PvP? What do you want to talk about? You've been doing all the metaverse. We've just been talking about metaverse.
Multiverses.
Multiverse.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it a little bit. It's kind of both. But I'll talk about Multiverses because it is, it just came out this week. It's the hot game.
The hot.
Last I checked, it had like 150K all-time players, so pretty high, especially for a Smash game. So first off, two differentiators, because this game just looks like a Smash clone, like if you just glance at the game, but it has two differentiators. One, it has good online play, which Smash does not. So immediately, that's immediate benefit over that.
Oh, what? Nintendo doesn't care about products? They just care about profit? Oh, okay. Milking people all the time. My amiibos aren't coming out until another couple of months. Right. I can't believe it.
That's where the real money is. The amiibos not having good net play. But yeah, so that's point number one, and then point number two is it is free to play. So those two aspects alone puts it in a unique category, because there's at least like 10 big Smash clones, and they all can only fulfill one of those. And it has a high population, which also helps. So yeah, I guess that's a third criteria, because you can get into one of these games with good netcode and whatnot, but it'll have no population. So anyways, yeah, this game is super fun.
The free to play stuff helps that though, for sure. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
but
it's not like Street Fighter V, where it's like, oh, here's a $60 premium purchase, and then literally nobody's playing it and nobody can play it.
but unfortunately there are some games that are free to play and have good net play, but because it doesn't have a million IPs in it, nobody's playing the game. So Multiverses hits all three of these. So anyways, yeah, I think it's a great game. I think it's very fun. I've been playing more of it than normal, but the key thing I want to talk about, and this is kind of related to both PvP and co-op, is that it has a 2v2 focus. And I'll tell you right now, when I play 2v2, whether it's with strangers or with friends, I don't really think about it. I'm like having fun and enjoying myself. But when I play 1v1, I get sweaty.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was surprised because
You were surprised that you
No.
got sweaty in a fighting game?
Well, let me explain.
Mystery fighting game champion! I'm Cal's. Or as I like to call, the Cal Zone. Welcome to the zone, baby. The Cal Zone.
Play that song. Play the Danger Zone song.
I want to be at one of these tournaments and screaming into the
yeah.
microphone. Bring to the stage now, Cal Zone.
I gotta get you out within one of these. I'll let you know when. But yeah. When I play traditional fighter like Tekken or Street Fighter, I know for certain I will care about it and I will get heated when I play. But with this game, I was like, I'm just learning characters. You know, it's just a Smash game. I didn't think twice about it, but then I played the 1v1 and I was getting heated.
Ooh.
So that's I think that's the first thing I want to talk about, which is in terms of PvP games. Like, I don't think this heated, sweaty feeling is a very fun thing for most people, certainly casuals. And I'll first say that to you. Have you ever played any 1v1 shooters like Quake? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know, because you know some people like to do like 1v1 Half-Life or 1v1 Quake or something, but not something I've experienced. So
Yeah.
I imagine that's been dead. That people don't really play those.
Instagib modes.
Yeah, exactly.
I've played a lot of Instagib modes. Actually, it was a really old free-to-play game. It's not even wasn't even, I think it was free-to-play specifically, but it was when free-to-play wasn't a thing, right? You literally went to a website, downloaded a zip file for the client, booted it up, and could just jump straight into these really cool levels. That was all Quake style with Instagib, but it had this cool dash ability that you could kind of wave dash, but it was a redirect. So it was basically like, I'm throwing all of my momentum this way, and then all of a sudden I can take that and just go the other direction, completely and utterly. And same thing. It's like I could jump into the wall, shoot the wall with my Instagib laser, and get a little bit of a speed boost, and just like whip around these things. And that wasn't the only one, but definitely like the access to these things, it was great. It was a good time.
Yeah,
I can't remember what that game was called.
I think I played that game. I think it might have been called Instagib, unless there were.
It might have been,
games.
but there was an actual, like, there was other weapons, and you could play like regular kind of Quake style with like your eight slot and everything. But the main thing that everybody played in it was just Instagib, and it was just good. It was just a good game. I was kind of like I don't remember it at all now, but yeah. But that's not like the only time. Like, fuck, Jesus Christ, like,
no,
FPS since blah.
Yeah,
I love it. I love all of those moments. But go on, sweaty gamer moments.
I mean, I was just kind of thinking about it while you were talking about that, because that Instagib game, whichever one I played, I don't know. Playing 1v1. I don't know. Playing 1v1 it wasn't super hard, if I remember right. But I don't know. There's something about like an opponent that's like kind of staring at you and like playing mind games with you directly that is a harder pill to swallow than 2v2 or other team games, is kind of what I'm getting at. And then if you look at the evolution of games, you have like 1v1 games, and they're kind of mostly phased out. You have a lot of team games, and then you have like this final form, which is like battle royale games, where I don't know, I almost never feel any pain in battle royale, because especially if you die, you just start over like immediately.
Oh yeah, I feel pain. I feel pain anytime I lose because it's like, oh, I didn't win. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
well, fuck this game then.
So yeah, what do you kind of see as for how PvP games are evolving or how they should be? Basically, to summarize my point was that we need more players and more ways to make people feel less bad. Because I just played Multiverses, and I was able to just compare my feeling between 1v1 and 2v2.
Yeah, and let's dive into that because I think that the structure of this game is actually very good for what it needs to be. You're right. 1v1 play is sweaty gamer mode. It is me versus the thing that is in front of me versus this other opponent. When I start off as a 2v2 title, there's a lot more leeway for for myself to give excuses as to why I played poorly or why we lost.
Yeah.
Right? In the end of the day, especially in a PvP game, the goal is to win. That's the overarching goal. It's fun. People don't get this. It's not. We don't have fun. Fun is a byproduct of what we are doing and the context of this play that we're in. So for me to have real fun, within these structures, I do need to have a lot of challenge, and I do need to have some form of success within that challenge. Now I can derive fun from also playing with my friend and doing that, and it takes the pressure off of the actual fun being generated directly from the game. Scenario based and me just playing with my friend and being that social element is huge. Being able to build up a team of 2 people or a couple of people and be able to say, hey, you come in here, builds a leader-follower mentality as well. If you're really experienced at fighting games, you can bring your friend in and then make up for their losses, but also allow them to still play within the same play space, and then you show them what they can do, right? This is where you could go. This is, look at me just beating up 2 different people over here. And that always feels good as well. It's like that evolution of, like, let's just talk about shooting games, right? The best times are when you go on mad kill streaks in, like, Call of Duty, and you're just like, I'm ripping this whole team apart. Like, or, you're just running around, it's Call of Duty 4, and, it's the first Modern Warfare, and you're just absolutely running around Blackout and just destroying the entire enemy team, trying to rack up as many kills as possible. Like, that's a great feeling, right? And you're doing 2 things then to the actual community. One, you're demoralizing everybody else on the other side. So then they have a negative experience, but hopefully that negative experience compounds into what went wrong, what could I do better, how do I improve, and then when they get to that next loop, they implement something else that might make them better within that play and moves their skill bar up, right? And then tries to incrementally get themselves there. You don't necessarily have that feedback when you're in 1v1 play, but when you're doing the 1v1s, everything is just you versus that other pillar. And that's a hard pill to swallow because any mistake that you put down, you can attribute to you directly. You don't necessarily attribute to the other person's play. You attribute it like, why didn't I fucking see it? I didn't see it. Of course they were going to do that. Of course. I knew they were going to do that. And that sucks, but you get moments of that in a lot of different games, right? And it is cool to be able to then socially share those moments. And you don't necessarily get that part of the feedback loop later on. Think about Valorant, think about Counter-Strike, think about 2v2 play in this. If I make a big play in the other ones, and like, hey, I'm in Valorant, I'm watching a wall, this guy's going in for the bomb plant, I know where they are. Like, I can see it. I can see through the walls. I know where this guy is, right? And I just make that play, and I win that aim battle between that other person, completely outplay them. Like, my other players see that, right? Like, and then they feel it, and then all of a sudden that compounds into they're having fun because you did something cool, and because they think that you did something cool, now you're having fun, and that relationship with the title then starts to build. But that social congruency between players also starts to lubricate, and then we can find like nice, like, like a nice feeling there of like, oh, let's go back to that, like let's go back to that togetherness.
Nice.
And that's where I think that this metaverse thing Meta Worlds has done a really good job saying, hey, it's 2v2, but then when I really want to, when the battle comes down, it's going to be 1v1. And I just think that these things layer into each other in a nice way,
Yeah.
especially for a free-to-play title. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that was spot on. Like you said that. I mean, even if you're playing a battle royale, of course you have 1v1 moments, so you can still nest it within other things. But yeah, like 2v2 is such a clusterfuck. There's just so much going on, and you get hit when you shouldn't have, and some other things. So, like you said, there's a lot of things to blame. And man, you are really correct about the social factor, because I remember when I was playing with friends. Yeah, anytime I got something sweet done, we both acknowledged it and we laughed about it and everything. But with the 1v1, I just thought, I was like, man, I wish this game had a replay system, which it does not. So like all those moments I couldn't share with anybody. So
So they happened, but yeah, they only happened for you.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's weird how that layers into engagement. It's like if I can't, like we always wanted to have these moments like, oh, share your moments, or like photo mode in games, right? Or like on PlayStation or something like that. Or Halo has, you know what I mean, the replay, like every time I play a game I get like a demo file and I can go back and like watch through it and everything like that. But those aren't things that you want to show your friends. It's like let me go over to the VCR machine and like, oh, like watch this, and then you're like rewinding or like winding to the like, look at this, look how fucking cool this was, and they're like, yeah, it's like it's like showing a YouTube video to like I love this, and they're like, okay, like, you know what I mean? The magic gets lost somewhere, but it is a necessity, because then how do you allow content creators to be able to then also go and take those things, and you have FPS Walshy or whatever from like the back in the day in the Halo days, like solo player just going into matchmaking, recording, and watching all of these plays, recording these things, and then taking the best stuff and montaging them out and making clips and doing everything that way, getting your name out as a social gamer, and showing that you're like the best of the best within these things. Because at the end of the day, this game is going to be based off of like its success is going to be based off of its competitive play, and its continued success, right? Like players are only going to play it if the game feels competitive, because even if you have this social platform and everything, it will never reach the potential heights unless it does feel competitive. And part of that is also then in your loop is being able to make clear and crisp gameplay. It's really interesting when you show Counter-Strike footage to somebody who has never played Counter-Strike before, and they're like, oh, those guys are real pros. Like that looks like, damn, that I don't really know what happened, but like that seemed like it was really hard to do. And
Absolutely.
It's interesting at how you can look at high level play and be like, that's high level play. And if I can't see that within other structures of PvP gameplay, then it becomes a more loose idea of like, how competitive is this? Like how much can this go? Like, can just like a rando just button mash and just win, or is there really like a depth to this layer? And seeing things like that is interesting to just as a perspective thing.
It is a super interesting topic, and you're right. FPS, because it's point and click or just basic aiming, which we aim all the time in all our activities. But if you take a game like a fighting game, you would think that it's understandable because it's just two guys beating them up, but it's not really. Like you can understand the basics, but you don't know what's pro play and what's not. But as an example to what you said about people being able to derive what's cool and what's not, there's the famous Daigo parry, which is like the most a very famous esports moment where a player parries multiple hits consecutively. Now, a lot of people might not know how hard the parry is or how easy the parry is, but in that clip, it kind of zooms out and you see like
The whole crowd.
hundreds of people cheering and going wild. And they're all tournament level players. So just by seeing that and seeing how hyped the audience got, that was one of the hardest things to do. So that gives some context to what. So the audience helped there.
Yeah, it's big because when you got to sell the game, you got to sell it visually too, and you got to sell the complexity within all
Yeah,
of those, right?
yeah. You can't just rely on having an audience to hype it up for you.
No,
So that's a good point.
yeah, but talk to me about talk to me about how the competitive play has been for you when you've started. Have you been enjoying the 2v2 side more than the 1v1s? Do you think that this game is going to focus deeper on 1v1s versus 2v2s, even though that their current structure in terms of their, hey, major social play, like keep people in, get people in, is 2v2s? Like, what is the tournament structure going to look like for this?
That is a super good question. I was trying to think on this myself. I think the company is going to push 2v2 because the game has a lot of team attacks and is really built for 2v2. And when you get to 1v1, you get a lot of imbalance. I actually want to talk to this point real quick. When you have a game for 1v1 and you have to balance it for tourney play, I think you tend to end up with very homogenous characters because they have to be like, you need to handle every situation. Because it's 2v2, you got some really interesting characters that wouldn't pop up in a normal game. They're
Mm-hmm.
like pure support or pure whatever with lots of weaknesses. So I think that alone, they kind of box themselves into 2v2.
That is
But
interesting.
oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I like that.
Oh,
I go
yeah.
on. Yeah.
But I think a lot of some grassroots tourney people, because they think 1v1 is more fair, they're gonna try to do that. So I think you're gonna have a split community on that.
That's gonna be huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you're totally right. You know, it's. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know how it works on fighting games, but I guess like how far can you go away from everybody else without just throwing some character out the window? You know
Right,
what I
right.
mean? Like, yeah, you can make one-off characters that for 1v1s that are interesting and do completely different things. A really heavy character and it's tall, but it's
Yeah.
and it's slow, but it's got huge impact, and you know what I mean, that's like the most basic, right?
Yeah.
Versus like
And
the fast, speedy.
and they exactly did that. That's the Iron Giant in the game. He's awful in 1v1s, like because he's so slow. But in 2v2, he is basically a big annoying hitbox that sits at the center of the stage, while the other person can like scramble and fight on the outside.
So they're fighting at the same time. Oh, right, because it's Smash style, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
yeah. It's not um, Tekken Tag or
correct.
Dragon Ball Z, where it's like one player's playing and then the other player tags in or anything like that. No, it's like full on, like go to town. I love that because you have to understand. You know, what I mean, let's just talk about onboarding and complexity, right? I can have two basic starter characters that do some interesting things together. Like I don't know how much this whole like characters playing and their move sets like really melding together into one character.
Yeah,
Like a pillar of the game might be that like I want the players to feel like they are a transformer or a Power Ranger, and all of a sudden they go and say Mighty Morphin, and they come, you know what I mean, and they come together in moments whereby their powers combined and they're able to do much more interesting things than if they were just solo fighting within a 2v2 spectrum.
correct. They do not do that, except for one exception. Apparently, if you play two Iron Giants, they form into one bigger one. Which it was a shock to everyone. They never mentioned this ever. It just popped up in a clip. So that was very cool, and that's what you're talking about. But they did not do that. That would be crazy.
They
That would be
didn't do
crazy.
that?
No, no.
So the game feels a lot more like it's 2v2, but I am fighting 1v1 battles within 2v2.
Yeah, with some lighter synergies, but certainly more than Smash, which has no team synergy
Yeah.
stuff.
Are you listening, guys? Over there? Are you listening? I need you to focus on building better moments for 2v2 battles if you're going to focus on 2v2s, because that's where emergence happens. If I can build two characters that are offshoot from each other and I can actually just go stick them into the game, and now I can take that puzzle piece and move it over to here and I get some different sense of emergence right here, like that's what I want. Like that's what I want the feeling of. I want to feel like my character and my teammate are combined, and it's not just like I am just I'm just waiting for my friend to just like lose 2 stock and die, and then I'm just gonna clean up, right? Like that's not what we want here, right?
Yeah, actually, when it comes to the synergies, it is light, and obviously, when the synergies are light, is way easier to design and code and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like for example, a synergy is Superman can breathe ice breath on a teammate and give him ice hands, and then now they can both apply an ice debuff. That's really light. That's like you're not
It's a
doing
good start though.
yeah, exactly. It's in the right direction, but that's not like a highlight you're gonna see in a Evo match or something. So yeah.
Maybe not unless like then the other character did something with that ice. Right? So
Exactly.
like you know what I mean, let's just say treats and talent systems, right? Like, you know what I mean? Oh, I'm a really hot magma character, so then you iced my hands, so now my hands turn to obsidian for a minute, so I get
Right.
really hard attacks, right? But I had to be superheated in order to actually get that, and now all of a sudden, by doing that, I had to be this in this state, and then you had to recognize that I was in this state and recognize that this is the right time to apply that now, and then you do that, and that conjures a different set of, now all of a sudden I have a different ability, different buff. Like that's now a real connected moment, right? Where I had to also like talk to you, but I also had to recognize where you were and say, is this time to press the jam button? Yes, it's time to push the jam button. We're jamming out. It's time to go to Pound Town, beat people
Hey,
up, right?
this topic has been what roughly what is the future of PvP games? And boy, yeah, somebody out there make this Breath of the Wild fighting game
Oh my god.
where you have chemistry and emergence of the wazoo. There you go.
Yeah, like I mean, there's so many weird things that you could absolutely obviously do, but like, and that's you know what I mean, but there always becomes a time where, you know, you just you we can we allow our brains to go and say like, oh yeah, like wouldn't that be cool, right? But not without thinking like how big of a solution
Yep.
it would be to get to there. You have to like have like a clear vision of what that is, and especially what your move sets are and how those are all going to cross platform into each other, because some characters may not have that superheat ability. So all of a sudden, if you ice my hands and I'm a different character, what happens? Right? And it's so easy to be like, yeah, wouldn't that be cool? Like, let's do that. And yeah, but that's very hyper specific, and now you've built a one path lane to that character, but it's not generic. Like, how do you build that path to other characters so you can build a nested tree of saying, well, in the same way that League of Legends or any MOBA has it, it's like, if I want to build a team of 5, well, what do I build it around? I want to know what my win condition is, and then I build off of that. And maybe always my win condition comes down to like who is the characters that I have within my roster. So purposely trying to then build more synergy across breadth over time will always help. Will always aim to try to help more of that. What opening up the puzzle piece of like, I mean, it's not just like in 1v1s or something. If you play Ryu, then I have to play Ken. You know what I mean? Because like our move sets are like natural or blah blah blah. Like I can't play this character because this one's too slow. Like there's a lot more opening, hopefully, for it. But no, I like this. We didn't really talk about the future of PvP, but
No,
we
we'll
definitely
save that secret for later.
no. But I want to see this game succeed, and I want to see things go well and everything else like that. We're at an hour. I'm gonna cut a little short because I need to poop like real bad, dude. It's common. Like it is common. Like it is absolutely common. So, Calvin, thank you. Bit of just more of a talky episode, just talking around some stuff.
All right.
But you know what I mean,
Big
that's fun.
topics.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your week, bud.